French forward Ugo Ekitike has finally completed his long-anticipated move to Liverpool, and the Premier League might never be the same. Once overlooked and written off at Paris Saint-Germain, the 23-year-old is now on the brink of fulfilling the promise that once made him one of the most exciting young strikers in France. For opposition defenders, his arrival is a warning. The next time you hear his name, it might be because he's just scored against your club. Liverpool's front line, already fierce, now has a new edge, one that could turn their attack into one of the most dangerous in Europe. Ekitike's story begins in Reims, France, where he came through the local academy before bursting into the senior side, scoring 10 goals in 26 games as a teenager. His development wasn't a straight path though. A loan spell in Denmark toughened him up and helped him adapt to different footballing environments. By 2023, his progress caught the eye of Paris Saint-Germain, who had already begun planning for the inevitable departure of Kylian Mbappé to Real Madrid, a move long considered football's worst-kept secret. PSG initially signed him on loan, then permanently, believing he could eventually step into Mbappé's shoes. But timing was cruel. Surrounded by global icons like Messi, Neymar, and Mbappé, Ekitike was raw, inexperienced, and desperate for minutes he couldn't get in a star-studded squad. Under managers Christophe Galtier and later Luis Enrique, his opportunities remained limited, and his development stalled, not because of a lack of talent, but because of a system built around Messi's brilliance rather than nurturing a young striker. Yet his bravery in joining PSG at all should be applauded. Few players at his age would dare to compete with three legends for a place in the team. But as the reality set in that PSG wasn't the right environment for him, a crucial decision had to be made. That lifeline came in the form of Eintracht Frankfurt, a club renowned for spotting undervalued gems and transforming them into stars. Their manager, Dino Topmöller, quickly realized what PSG had missed. Ekitike wasn't failing, he was simply in the wrong system. Frankfurt gave him the freedom to play, to make mistakes, and to grow, and under their guidance, he evolved into a striker with shades of Thierry Henry. Fast, intelligent, clinical, and unafraid of the big stage. The transformation reignited his career, and soon Liverpool came calling. Now, with the creativity of Sulla, the pace of Luis Diaz, and the work rate of Darwin Núñez around him, Ugo Ekitike steps into the Premier League not as a forgotten prospect, but as a forward finally ready to explode. Liverpool aren't just building for now, they're building for the future. And Ekitike may just be the name that defines their next great attacking era. Ugo Ekitike's journey has been anything but straightforward. At PSG, he battled for his place in a star-studded squad, often overshadowed and written off before he had the chance to truly show his quality. But with a move to a new country and a completely new system, everything changed. The Frenchman, already a two-time League One winner, found fresh life at Eintracht Frankfurt, thanks to the faith and confidence shown in him by Dino Topmöller. For the first time in years, Ekitike rediscovered not only his form, but his belief in himself. And crucially, he discovered what many suspected all along: he thrives best in a counterattacking system. Frankfurt, a team that had perfected this approach in recent years, turned out to be the perfect stage for his revival. His story in Germany began quickly. After joining on loan in February 2024, Ekitike made his debut just 2 days later. By April 18th, he had his first goal in a 3-1 win over Augsburg. 1 week later, Frankfurt wasted no time in activating the €16.5 million option to buy Ritten into his loan deal. Ekitike celebrated that decision in style, scoring the very next day against Bayern Munich with a smart right-footed strike from the edge of the box. The Bundesliga had found its new number 11. From there, he took off, finishing the following season with 22 goals in 48 games, including a stunning long-range effort against Tottenham in the Europa League. For the first time in his career, his numbers began to look prolific, averaging just under a goal every 2 games. Suddenly, Premier League clubs were asking the question, should we be afraid of Ugo Ekitike? The answer: absolutely. Because Ekitike is not just a goal scorer. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches, he combines size with surprising speed. He's quick off the mark, agile, and devastatingly direct. As every defender knows, pace is the one quality no center-back ever wants to deal with. And Ekitike brings it in spades. He relishes the physical duels with big defenders, using his strength to fight battles, while his intelligent movement forces defenders to commit and often make costly mistakes on the counter. Add to that his composure in front of goal, impressive for his age, and you have the makings of a complete modern striker. Liverpool know they aren't signing the finished article, but what they are getting is a player with enormous potential and plenty of tools in his locker. At 23, he can lead the line like Didier Drogba, drop deep as a false nine in the style of Roberto Firmino, or stretch defenses out wide like Cody Gakpo. Most likely, his destiny at Anfield lies as an out-and-out number 9, a role the Reds have lacked consistency in since the misfiring Darwin Núñez. With Mohamed Salah and Luis Diaz patrolling the wings, Ekitike offers Liverpool a focal point who can finish moves, hold his own in physical duels, and create chaos in transition. But perhaps the most dangerous weapon in his arsenal is motivation. Nothing is more threatening than a wounded animal, and after his struggles and perceived failure at PSG, Ekitike has a point to prove. Premier League defenders have been warned, because Ugo Ekitike is not just arriving to play, he's arriving to dominate. Ugo Ekitike has already shown flashes of what he's truly capable of with a standout season in Germany, but now the real test begins. At Liverpool, he'll need to take that momentum and build on it immediately. If he approaches his first few months in the Premier League with the same hunger, swagger, and fearless mentality that he displayed at Eintracht Frankfurt, then defenders up and down England are in for a nightmare. This is a striker with a point to prove, a young lion desperate to show his roar on the biggest stage. Ekitike's motivation is simple. He wants to erase the disappointment of his stalled PSG years and prove that he was never the problem. At Frankfurt, we saw his fearlessness, his directness, and his ability to punish defenders when given the responsibility of leading the line. If he brings that same edge to Anfield, there's no reason why he can't develop into one of the Premier League's deadliest strikers. Of course, wearing the famous Liverpool number 9 shirt carries immense pressure. This is the jersey once worn by legends like Ian Rush, Robbie Fowler, Fernando Torres, and Roberto Firmino, icons who defined eras at Anfield. But it's also a shirt that has weighed heavily on others, most notably Darwin Núñez, whose confidence seemed to shrink under the burden of expectation. For Ekitike, the key will be mental strength. He cannot let the pressure of the number define him, he must make the shirt his own. Tactically, there's another challenge. Ekitike thrived in Frankfurt's counterattacking system, a setup designed for quick transitions and exploiting space in behind. But Liverpool's football under Arne Slot is very different. The Reds dominate possession, press relentlessly, and expect their forwards to link play as much as they score goals. It's a system that demands intelligence, movement, and technical ability. At PSG, Ekitike experienced a similar style but rarely got the chance to start, meaning he still has a lot to prove in this type of setup. That said, modern forwards are adaptable, and Ekitike has the tools. His first touch, hold-up play, and ability to bring runners into the game will be crucial. If he can channel his inner Firmino, selfless, clever, and sharp in combination play, then Anfield will embrace him quickly. If not, it could risk turning into another Darwin Núñez situation, where potential is overshadowed by inconsistency. Still, there are reasons for optimism. At 6 feet 3 inches, Ekitike adds aerial presence, something Liverpool could exploit if Slot decides to adopt a slightly more direct style, especially with summer signings like Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez offering new attacking options. His versatility makes him a fascinating addition. He can play as a traditional number 9, a target man, or a fluid forward who drifts and links with others. And most importantly, Ekitike is not a failed wonder kid. He was brave enough to sign for PSG when they had Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar leading the line, an almost impossible environment for a young striker to thrive in. That decision showed belief in himself, not recklessness. Now, with that experience behind him, he arrives in the Premier League as a player reborn, ready to silence doubters and write his own story. When Bournemouth visit Anfield on the opening day, defenders might just find themselves facing a striker who has been waiting years for this moment. And if Ugo Ekitike plays with the hunger he showed in Germany, the roar of the Kop could soon be celebrating the birth of Liverpool's next great number 9.